I'm
My
changing.
voice,
I'm changing that again. By the way,
my voice is a little screwed up. I woke up like this morning, and it was like hoarse and
I'm
scratchy.
in a bad hair day.
That's all right. You are a bad hair.
So anyway, before we get started, there's something else
No,
I want to.
I was saying I woke up like this, so excuse my voice. It's a little hoarse and scratchy, and I can't figure out what. I don't know if it's allergies or what, but I'm not sick. Maybe a little in the head. Need a psychiatrist, but that's about it.
Anyway, the other thing before we get too started, just remind me to stay on with you after this because I want you to listen to something so I can finish editing something that's been sitting on, that I've been sitting on for what 3 years. I don't know when we go to Iowa.
Uh,
How long ago was that
shit,
Iowa trip?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well,
I think it was 2 years ago.
I finally got. I think I got the intro piece worked out so that I won't get flagged from YouTube. Okay, for the day the music died. So I want you to hear. Just listen to that little piece. It's a little piece of audio.
Mm-hmm.
But
so anyway,
I've been playing around with a lot of AI stuff.
good. Yeah, I know you found that program. You like to play with it.
I actually got 2 sites that I'm part of that's got AI that I'm playing around with some of that AI stuff, and hopefully it'll get some of the investigation stuff that I've been sitting on for quite a while that hasn't been ever seen before, like Far School, the day the music died. And there's a couple other things in there I'm sure that will get uploaded in time. Especially now when my fucking game stopped working. That pissed me off.
Well, sorry.
You know, it's not your fault. I blame Tom and Nick. See, those two crazy fuckers got me hooked on the Goffit and got me to reinstall Steam. Steam was never on this computer.
Well,
so I never had. Well, I had Steam on. Well, you know, when I bought this computer, had this one custom built from Milwaukee PC, I decided not to put Steam on it.
Right.
So Steam was on the other computer that sits on the other side of the room here. So that's just all right. I've been having lots and lots of fucking fun with that. But man, it just sucks that all of a sudden it just crash. No fucking reason. And then you know what else I noticed? This is another bitch I want to get out of the way. There are, like, every now and then as I'm scrolling through Facebook, right? And say, I'm trying to get an example here, like something that would be a good example. You know, there was one like, oh, it was a story about what really happened to the cast of such and such. Okay. Let's just use that. It's so I sit there and I click on it to read more of the story, right? Usually you gotta click on it and it's like, and it takes me to fucking porn sites. It does. It takes me to this fucking page where it totally takes the browser over, a bunch of nude pictures, and then this audio comes in that says Microsoft, your computer's been hacked or infected, blah blah blah. Plus AVG comes up, right? So I report all of this to Facebook. Want to know what the response is?
What's that?
let's see. Where is it? Here. We didn't remove the ad. To keep our review process as fair as possible, we are using the same advertising standards to review reports. We have taken a look and found that this ad doesn't go against our advertising standards.
What? You tell me they're gonna.
So every time I reported it, and I reported it several different ways, trying to, and everyone comes back with that same fucking thing. So they're letting the scammers and the people that want to go infect, and they're letting them take control.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I've even found ads like that on Yahoo. So anyway, you came up with a subject. I obviously.
Well, we don't have a guest this evening, so
can see that it's got your background's got to do with that too now.
Yeah, I changed my background.
So
it's actually not the full background that I downloaded, but it'll have to do.
Well, SteamYard.
Should have tried to adjust it, yeah. But no, since we are a paranormal show, we talk about ghosts and we talk about UFOs and we talk about cryptids, and I've been seeing a lot of stuff about this particular cryptid for a while now. A lot of stuff still coming up.
Megalodon.
Huh?
Megalodon.
Right. This is about megalodons. I found this thing. It says megalodon sharks are alive. New footage and scientific evidence on YouTube. So this is what I was going to wind up doing. It's only 9 minutes long. So I was going to go here to this, and I was going to share it, and then we can talk about it.
Megalodon were the biggest sharks to ever roam the oceans, and were estimated to have grown up to 18 meters. That is 3 times the length of a great white shark. Because of its size, it was the undisputed ruler of the oceans. Now, was this animal really the monster that Hollywood has given us in the movie Meg, or was it something else? Get ready, as today we will dive into the ocean of knowledge about the wonder that Megalodon was, and the different reasons why we should still believe that these sharks exist among us. All of this will be backed up with evidence which you will find impossible to deny. Stick till the end of the video if you want to know the truth behind the existence of Megalodon. Did it really go extinct 2 million years ago, as some scientists say? Or is it still here among us, hiding in deep oceans, waiting for its time to come again? Although there have been many sightings and proofs that point towards the existence of this animal, some portions of the scientific community do not believe the same. However, we will come across evidence that even the scientific community cannot deny. Most importantly, you will be informed about the chances of encountering one of these giant monsters while on an outing in your nearest ocean. Before we dig into the evidence, which will prove beyond doubt that Megalodon still roams around the oceans of the world, let us understand why some believe that it may have gone extinct a long time ago. The biggest argument that some people have regarding why Megalodon does not exist in the current age is because they feel that such a big animal would have made its presence felt by now and would have been discovered by humans. Now, at first glance, this may seem like a very valid argument, but when we consider the case of giant squid, this argument falls flat. Giant squids, which can be as big as 43 feet, was an animal that was once considered extinct by scientists.
Yep.
It's just very emotionally intense screenplay.
Went into a commercial.
In the car
it's only a 9-minute video.
And its sightings by various sailors were considered as cases of paranoia. But all of this changed when it was captured near the coast of Japan in 2004. And finally, a live specimen was caught in 2006. This giant squid story points in the direction that it is very much possible that Megalodon will one day be discovered by humans in all its glory when it decides to show up. Megalodon is a fascinating animal about which many things are still not known properly. Most of our information about Megalodon is derived from the teeth of this giant predator, spread across the ocean floor and beaches all around the world. It is no wonder then that the name megalodon is derived from a Greek word which means big tooth. Megalodon's teeth are one of the important pieces of evidence that proves this animal may just be around us yet. In 1875, a British warship turned oceanographic vessel, HMS Challenger, came across pairs of megalodon
But,
near Tahiti
yeah,
while doing research work. The
and
scientists shot.
not only are those, you go back. Can you just that picture now? That's one huge fossil of a tooth, right? And pretty
Mm-hmm.
much totally intact. The thing is, the person holding that thing's about as big as their hands, but what they don't show is that there's tiny little serrated edges
Oh, you can
all
see
the way
them.
around that tooth.
You can see them right here.
Yeah, you faintly see them, but yeah.
Yeah, this tooth is like a fucking chainsaw or a handsaw, hacksaw.
So I mean, they gotta kind of be careful holding those teeth sometimes because
Even though they're fossils, they will cut you.
they're still
Pairs
sharp.
of megalodon teeth near Tahiti while doing research work. The scientists were shocked when these teeth were dated. Some of them turned out to be only 10,000 years old. This discovery proves that the official scientific claim that megalodon went extinct 2 million years ago is nothing but false. The fact that megalodon was roaming the oceans 10,000 years ago makes it seem very plausible that this giant monster is still somewhere around us. The next evidence is more recent. It comes in the form of footage recorded in 1942 during the turmoil of World War II. The footage recorded near the coast of Cape Town shows a giant shark lurking behind German U-boats as the sailors on the ship are in awe of the
I love how
massive fish.
they
Taking cues
do
from the
this with
size of German U-boats during World War II,
you know,
many experts have
dramatization of it.
estimated that the
Oh,
shark
I've
may
seen
be
that
as
picture
long
That
before.
as
picture,
64 feet.
right there.
Some scientists claim that it
That particular picture, look at that. That's the German U-boat. Okay,
That's the picture
that's
they're
the dorsal
talking about.
fin to the tail fin. That's dorsal fin to tail fin, 64 feet long. This, okay, that is out away from the boat. Okay, this is a U-boat. Okay, this is like from here. Here's your mid section of the U-boat, and you don't even see the tail of the U-boat here.
No,
And that's estimated to be
That's-
60 feet, 64 feet.
they
You
use
still got another. You still got another what? 15 feet in front for the head.
okay. But what I don't understand, these guys said there was video from 1942. Well, how the hell did you get video from 1942? Second, I understand the pictures, and that's a German.
How do you get video from 1942? They had video cameras back then, Joe.
I don't know.
They
Anyway,
may not have recorded in color. They may not have recorded sound, but you could actually
because
have
a lot of
moving
that
pictures.
stuff before that was AI generated or photoshopped. But this picture I've seen before, and they used the size of that German U-boat
Yep.
to
determine
determine
the
the
distance.
distance between the two.
That's a dorsal fin and that's a tail fin.
Right. So they could estimate about how big that
be
fucker
as
was.
long
Yep.
as 64 feet. Some scientists claim that it may just be an overgrown great white shark. But we all know that the only predator capable of growing so big is no other than Megalodon. Who knows? Maybe the Megalodon had unintentionally helped the Allies by destroying one or two of the German ships. Another big piece of evidence that points towards the existence of the Megalodon is the footage recorded by Coast Guards near the
This
coast
is
of
another one
Brazil.
right here.
The
Okay.
Coast Guards were attempting a rescue mission of stranded people in the ocean
Now,
when their camera
pay attention. Pay attention. You're going to see this here.
Yeah.
It's in this section right here.
All right, just I think I've
recorded
seen
a
some of this
spine-chilling
before.
video. At the time of the rescue mission, nobody realized anything unusual, but when they analyzed the video later, they were in for a complete shock.
See it?
At the
Yeah.
top right corner of the video, there emerges a shadow-like figure of a fish. that was as big as 60 feet. When the rescue mission was ongoing, some people were quick to jump to the conclusion that this may have been a whale, but they forgot the fact that no species of whale swims near the coasts of Brazil. On a closer
Not
inspection
just
of the
that.
footage, all the doubts are cleared and it becomes confirmed that this shadow seen in the ocean belongs to Megalodon. Over the years, many attempts have been made to declare this video as doctored, but they have all failed. This video is one of the strongest evidence of the continued existence of the Megalodon among us. The topic of the existence of Megalodon is so intense that even the scientific community is divided among itself. In 1918, David Steed, who was a renowned expert in marine biology, came across some lobstermen of Port Stephens, Australia, who claimed to have witnessed a monster fish who swallowed several of their lobster pots. The lobstermen were so spooked after this encounter that they refused to go back to lobster hunting. Some of them claimed that the fish was a shark which was as long as 100 meters. After hearing their stories and correlating the evidence, David Steed was convinced that the shark was none other than Megalodon, who was known as the White Death type. What makes this evidence even more compelling is the fact that both the parties involved, David Steed and the lobstermen, were experts of the sea and were well aware of all the sharks that could be roaming inside the waters of Port Stephens. While recalling this incident later in his life, David Steed claimed that megalodons may not be abundant as once they were, but they may still exist among the oceans.
Okay. Here's another one too that we're going to listen for in this little bit of time that's left. Let's see if they talk about the Sea of Cortez and what the Mexican fishermen call Diablo Negro, which is the Black Devil. Basically describing a shark in that vicinity that's well over 60 feet long.
Right. But now let's you don't have to play the rest of that for now. We don't want to
No, that's fine. That's why I paused it. You know, it gives us a little pause so we can discuss what we've already seen.
What I saw and read something where they found a tooth. Okay. And when they carbon dated it, it only went back to about 6,000 years ago.
Right.
So that even see, and they said, okay, there's one that 10,000 years ago, but this was this was more recent than that. You know, so now they found one and they said, oh, that's 6,000. So first it's like 2 million years, then 10,000, now 6,000. And see, that's what makes me believe they do still exist out there.
Well, here's the thing, though. The oldest fish in the sea is the shark.
And not to mention that they're known for their what is that regeneration of cells and stuff. So they can and they're not like us. When we lose a tooth that's permanently gone, they grow a new one in.
Actually, with shark, the only part of them that is bone is actually the teeth. Everything else, including the gums where the teeth are hooked to, is cartilage,
right?
Muscle.
Well, yeah, but
that is the only part of a shark that is bone is the tooth itself.
Well, that's why when anything's left,
that's all you find is the tooth.
Well, that and the jawbone.
Nope. Well, yeah, maybe. I guess the jawbone is too. But.
Because you got to realize that they've got one hell of a fucking bite.
Well, there's also footage and pictures of a whale carcass that washed up on a beach, missing its entire back dorsal area, its back fin area, its tail. Its complete tail was gone. And it was evidential by looking at it, something bit it off. There's not a great white out there that can bite the fucking tail of a whale clean off. And this wasn't a small whale. This wasn't one of those little fuckers. This was a big blue or something like that. That was humpback that washed up. That had its tail missing.
We don't have the technology to go as deep as these things can go. The
deepest part of the ocean that's ever been recorded is in the Marinara Trench, and they call it Challenger Deep.
But
and we have sent a probe that deep in order to be able that's able to withstand that.
But still,
there are some very interesting creatures that it filmed while down there.
Right, but still, how do we know that is really the deepest part of the ocean?
It's the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure.
The thing is, Joe, that is the deepest part of the ocean recorded.
Right.
And it's a section in the Mariana Trench, and it's called Challenger Deep.
Man, that
it is so far down, so deep.
What I'm trying to say is it leads to possibilities that there's parts of the ocean we have not been able to explore, and how do we know that the thing really went extinct? I mean,
here's another
that thing was supposed to be extinct for what, 65 million years?
The coelacanth?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was supposed to be extinct for 65 million.
They've got an actual living
specimen. They caught one off the coast of Japan. So the coelacanth is still alive. It's still around. Well, another one too, the horseshoe crab. It's not actually a crab. It's believe it or not, the horseshoe crab is actually an insect, but it's a water-dwelling insect, and it is as old, basically, as the coelacanth or the shark families, because it is considered a living fossil, just like the coelacanth. The coelacanth is considered a living fossil.
Not to mention the giant squid that washed up.
The Architeuthis, the giant squid Architeuthis. That was theorized about because of sightings that happened back in the 1700s. When man first
went extinct and wasn't.
Well, when man first started doing exploring with in boats and stuff, when they finally found how to, or figured out how to make ships that could cross vast bodies of water in the ocean, then supposedly there were sightings of the Kraken. Guess what the Kraken actually was?
Kraken.
Yeah, the Kraken.
That was one scary beast too.
Kraken your acid. But guess what it was actually? We've just talked about it. It was Architeuthis. It was an actual. It's the giant squid. So that became legend. That became a thing of legend. And once science started doing its investigations, it determined it to be extinct until we actually found and captured a live specimen and had specimens washing up on the shores.
Yeah.
So Architeuthis is basically also can be considered a living fossil. So with all of that said, and the things, I mean, there's three individual animals that could, that came back, that exist, that, still exist, that were in that era of the megalodon. what's to say that the megalodon does not truly still exist? Just not in the amount of population that it existed in 10,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, however long ago it was that science believes they went extinct. Well, come on.
I mean,
This is something that you have a passion about, Joe. That's why I picked
I'm
it.
just kind of. I got issues right now. I got an idea.
I'm sorry. I can't see you because I don't have the screen or anything.
But we can stop sharing this. We don't need.
Why? I wanted to finish it. It's got less than 3 minutes left.
Well, then finish it.
Now, another question put forward by naysayers who deny the existence of Megalodon is that if this beast still exists, then why don't we see dead bodies of whales washed ashore with big bite marks on their bodies? It is well known that Megalodon was an apex predator of its time, who terrorized every other species living in the oceans. It is claimed that it could eat up to 2,500 pounds of food a day, and whales were one of its favorite foods. Well, the next evidence is a very good answer to their question. Recently, footage emerged of a 70-foot humpback whale beached on the coast with its entire tail missing. This footage created a lot of buzz among the scientific community all around the world.
I remember that story too.
Experts found out that the tail had been chewed off in a single bite. Not even an orca or great white shark is big enough to achieve this feat. Now, when these two are out of the fray, that leaves Megalodon as the only predator left who is big enough to chew the complete tail of a humpback whale in a single bite. One thing that this incident surely proves is that whales still remain the favorite food of the Megalodon. The world is scattered with evidence that proves that Megalodon still exists today. Whether it's the video captured by Brazilian Coast Guard, or the World War II footage, or even the dead whale washed up on the shore with its tail missing, these evidence and proofs help in the picture getting clearer day by day. The discovery of giant squid further adds fuel to the fire. Oceans cover almost 3/4 of the earth and hide within them many wonders. The more we dive deep into them, the more surprised we are of the secrets they hold. When we analyze the data from the World Register of Marine Species, an interesting fact pops out. From the past century, around 600 to 1,000 new species of marine animals are discovered every year around the world, which includes many species of sharks as well. Maybe that day is not far away when the world will finally discover Megalodon hiding somewhere in the ocean. Contrary to what some people believe, that Megalodon went extinct 2 million years ago, for now, the evidence clearly suggests that Megalodon exists, and when this giant monster decides to show itself, our oceans will never be the same again.
That scene from the Meg that they showed with the little girl is something that I've been seeing online for like some kind of theme park, or something where they go in and they experience. But anyway, that whole thing, I tell you, it's not just the ocean. Think about on land too. The things that they went extinct, but they've been rediscovered.
Yeah.
And they've actually
thought they went extinct, but they basically what they did is they
right.
went into hiding and then they brought themselves back out.
Or like they said, the Earth could only, a smaller population of them.
Right. Or here's another one for you. Okay, this is another possibility for you. Maybe it's not Megalodon. Maybe it's a descendant of the Megalodon. A completely, totally different apex predator. I mean, there are a couple of things in that video he didn't mention.
It's like
Cortez Garcia Cortez and the Mexican fishermen over there having stories of the El Diablo Negro, which is basically the black.
I know.
And then also the footage from the camera of a shark scientist, a scientist that studies sharks. He was doing footage in Australia with the great white population. They had a cage and they had a camera and they were filming. And he caught a shark the size of one of the bigger great whites, but it was completely different. It was darker in color.
Well,
the dorsal or the fins on the side, not the dorsal fin, but the fins on the side were totally different. They had this little bump near the body that's not present in the great whites.
They also had that they were like I don't know where it was taken, but I remember seeing it during a Megalodon documentary on TV. They had like an oil rig, where they were down, and then the cameras were down towards the bottom of it.
That was the big ass shark they showed.
And they you see it cross in front of the camera and behind the oil rig.
I mean, there are a lot of video that some people are claiming are real, some people are claiming are fake, but a lot of it has not.
They do that,
but a lot of it has not been debunked. And you got to realize he was correct. It's not quite 75%. It's more like 72% of our planet is covered by water or the oceans. And we've only scratched the surface. We've only explored about 15 to 20% of the ocean.
Right.
Compared to what we've explored in space itself.
I was just going to say, we
know more about our planetary system and the different planets that orbit different moons that orbit the different planets that are in our system that orbits our sun. We know more about them than we do about what's in our oceans. And like he said at the end there, we're constantly finding new species. Well, Megalodon wouldn't be considered a new species. It would be considered a living fossil. The problem is, though, are they real? Or, let me rephrase that. Not are they real. Are they actually a meg, or are they a subspecies that evolved from the meg?
Yeah, because the meg adapted.
Exactly.
Or adapted, like they found a way.
Population.
Life finds a way.
Right. Well, yeah, and
from Jurassic Park.
That's a famous saying from Jurassic Park.
Right, Jeff Goldblum.
Yep, Goldblum's character.
Yeah.
But here's another thing too on that. Another thing that he didn't mention in this video is the fact that we've got these shark study scientists who've been tagging great whites, and there's one particular great white they tagged and was following her, and all of a sudden they watched in real time as the tag was recording a deep dive, and it was a very fast deep dive. And then the tag disappeared off their sensors. They couldn't track it anymore. And then all of a sudden, about 6 months later, it popped back up again, but it wasn't attached to the great white anymore. And they've not ever seen her or found evidence of her being around anymore. So the thing is, what happened to her?
When they tagged her, wasn't she like the biggest?
She was one of the biggest. She was like a 22-foot great white.
Yeah, she was one of the
And
biggest
she weighed
weights on record.
She weighed in the neighborhood of 4 tons.
Because I
That's
remember,
8,000 pounds.
I can't remember the name they gave her, but I remember
Wasn't
watching.
it something like submarine or something like that?
They were tracking her, and
Mhm.
yeah, they lost track of it, and they came up, and it was just a
It
tracking
was
device.
like an instantaneous. She's here by this coastline. Now she's down here within like I don't know how many. Like I think it's like maybe a minute. She's at like 16 or 5,000, 6,000 feet or something like that down, and it was like that quick.
Yeah, I remember
So
watching that.
yeah, they couldn't figure out what happened to her, and then all of a sudden the tag disappears. The signal from the tag disappears, and then I think it was like 4 or 5, maybe 6 months later, it pops up again, and it wasn't attached to her anymore. It was floating
Just
loose.
a tag. That's all that was left, was just a tag.
Right, and they analyzed it and found data on it, and actually the data showed that when it dove, it was in a warmer environment. After it dove, it was in a warmer environment than it should have been because the water, the temperature of the water down there should have been reflective on that tag sensor, and it wasn't. It was actually a warmer environment that tag was in when it was down that deep. So therefore, they're speculating that it was eaten, that she was eaten by something. And the only thing known to man to possibly be what it is would be the Meg.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've said it all along. That's why I won't get on a boat and stuff, because I don't want to. It's just my fucking luck that that's what would happen.
That you
It
would get
decide
eaten
to
by a
show
Meg.
itself. Eat the whole fucking boat.
That's your luck. You get eaten by a Meg.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you I'm gonna live forever. I'm keeping it. I'm sticking to it. But I mean, they, they. I mean, they could have adapted.
Yeah,
Like
they could have adapted.
and it may still be the Meg, but yet not really. It might not be the same size. It might have been.
Maybe it's a
Had to
little. Maybe it's
adapt.
just right. Maybe it's about 10 feet shorter.
Right.
Possibly
So it didn't have to eat as
slimmer,
much.
straight, more streamlined.
Right.
Make it more of a faster predator so it can compete against the great whites.
And at the same time, it didn't have to eat as much to survive.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Capable of eating larger
right.
amount of smaller prey.
All right. I don't know how science does it. I'm not a scientist, but according to what I've read, they went extinct, 2 million years ago, and then somewhere along the line, they found a tooth and said,
They found a pair of teeth that they carbon dated to 10,000 years.
Right. And most recently, though, the tooth that they found even said, well, it might not have gone extinct. They say it, about 6,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's another 4,000. So you went from 2 million years all of a sudden to 6,000.
Right.
It makes
but
it
here's another
possible.
thing. But here's another thing for you to think about too. I don't know if it's part of the mockumentary that Discovery Channel put up. Discovery did do a mockumentary on mermaids,
That was one of my
very,
favorites.
which was very convincing, convincing, and and that using evolution, that was very convincing. But here's another thing too. They also did what they called a mockumentary on the megalodon. Okay. But one of the people that actually was in that, he was also a fisherman, and he did fish up a tooth, a maggot tooth in his neck, And it did not look fossilized. It looked like it was possibly a fresh tooth. It didn't have any fossilization to it. Now, the only way you can have a tooth that would be possibly fresh like that without fossilization to it is that it came from a living species,
Right.
or a living specimen.
Or just recently, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, it's kind of,
I heard
there's
that
a
one.
lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there.
But
that
see, that could
just
be part of the
makes you
documentary
wonder.
thing. Most of the teeth that I've seen, they've all been fossilized and look black.
Well, yeah, most of them are. But this one was actually pure white, and it was the size of, it was, size of his hand. And it was basically determined to be a meg tooth. But then again, if it was a fresh tooth and it came from a species of that size, who's to say it's not a descendant of the meg that has evolved into something different?
Right. I mean, it's just, you got the Kraken that's out there now, and because we know
Well, the Kraken is basically the Architeuthis, which is
right.
Uh,
That's what I mean.
squid.
You got this giant squid out there, and who's to say there isn't even an octopus that huge?
Don't know how big.
And then you think about that, but just those sailors from like the when they used to put the monsters on the maps,
Yeah,
and they'd have the whole thing with the tentacles and stuff like this, and it's totally engulfs the boat. Okay. So what's to say that didn't evolve and actually got a bit smaller to what we've seen wash up on the shores?
That's possible too.
Who's to say, that thing could have been,
Remember that at one time in this Earth's history, before man actually started evolving and roaming the Earth, there are fossilized records of giant creatures. The giant sloth. You got the large creatures of the planet. I mean, you got the saber-toothed tiger, for instance. That saber-toothed tiger is 5 times the size of a standard tiger.
Right, but
the dire wolf. The dire wolf is actually a very large wolf, about 3 times the size of a normal wolf.
But they said that all this stuff was wiped out.
Supposedly.
And I don't buy that.
But if you believe in evolution, I believe that it actually evolved.
Adapted and somehow was able to survive. I mean, the fish go down, sharks and stuff dive deeper down to survive during the time. So they were able to adapt to live in the deeper parts of the ocean.
Right.
So where all that stuff didn't affect them. Well,
there
were also land mammals that survived and stuff too. I mean,
well, the impact of the asteroid that took out the dinosaurs. Look at the time of the dinosaurs. Okay, the dinosaurs were huge. They were big animals. They were big lizards. Okay.
I mean, there's one.
And there are pictures. There are paintings. Okay, now we're getting a little off subject, but there are paintings that depict dinosaurs and humans together. There are, in fact, in Texas, there's a creek bed that was exposed down to the limestone to where it shows human footprints and dinosaur footprints next to each other, traveling in the same and opposite directions.
Well, it's
And these human footprints. Here's another thing too. These human footprints are the size of like 14 to 16. The how we size our feet. These are sizes 14 and 16. These are giant footprints, basically.
Well,
Giants, big people, tall,
you know,
tall people.
there's a lot of theories of that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you've look at the old cartoon, the
Which one?
Flintstones.
Yeah.
You know,
Actually, there's a theory about the Flintstones that the
You know.
Flintstones are actually came after the Jetsons. The
Right,
Jetsons are the family that of the future, but that future destroyed the planet and knocked everybody back to the Stone Age.
but still, you know, I mean, you got, you know, a lot of things that they come up with sometimes
Yeah.
just don't make sense.
No, a lot of times it doesn't, but still.
You know, but you know, you got the alligators and crocodiles. Those things are dinosaurs. They're living dinosaurs.
Living fossils. Alligators, crocodiles.
They just got
Sharks are kind of a living
smaller.
fossil.
They adapted. They've been around since
Yeah.
that far back. They just adapted and got smaller.
Well, again, sharks, because of
But still,
they're that's a species that can be considered a living fossil as well.
too. You know, the whales. You know, that stuff's. You know, you can't just say, oh, it wiped everything out and the planet just started over fresh.
No.
I don't buy that. You know, I don't. You know, and somewhere along the line, it'll be proven. Maybe not in my lifetime, but
Never know. Maybe it is. Maybe it will be. Maybe it won't.
But I don't know. The thing about the Meg though has always scared me because I've always believed that it's possible that sucker's still alive.
Now you're gonna have nightmares, right?
No, I don't have nightmares. It's just I don't live near a big ocean, but I'm just saying, you know.
Well, here's something to actually ponder. You know how they were doing the hoaxes about whales being in the Great Lakes? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that it's a possibility there could be sharks in the Great Lakes? You know what shark I'm talking about?
Bull shark.
Exactly. Basically, the only species of shark that can live in freshwater or saltwater
Well,
is the bull shark.
They've been up and down the Mississippi River and into the what is that? There's a river that runs off the Mississippi into Illinois.
There's several rivers.
Right, but it goes into Illinois.
It's the Illinois River.
Right, and they've
just like the Wisconsin River.
They've had bull sharks spotted in that river.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing is, I mean, you got those channels that come in from the ocean over, up by New York that run through, and it runs through. It connects one lake, one of the Great Lakes, and then there's another channel that connects the next Great Lake, and all the Great Lakes are connected by channels, and those channels have locks on them, and those locks are moving ships constantly. You got cargo ships and ore ships and all kinds of shit running through these locks on these lakes. And who's to say that fucking bull sharks over the many years hasn't gotten themselves in those locks and traveled upstream into the lakes and made a population in there.
It goes back to everything I say. Anything's possible.
Yeah, it is. Anything's possible.
You know, I mean, when I interviewed that one guy, and you weren't with us out in Minnesota, and we talked to him, he saw a bull shark once, and he's heard stories of them on the Mississippi all the time. And that lake that he was on, was the biggest. Right, is the biggest And the deepest lake of those four lakes that are in that part of, Wisconsin, Minnesota, part of Mississippi.
You're talking about lakes on the Mississippi. Here's one for you. Here recently coming back from, in fact, Wednesday I was coming back from Minnesota. Or was it? No, it was Tuesday I was coming back from Minnesota, coming back through La Crosse area. And with all the rain that they got over there and all the flooding and everything, and the fact that Mississippi is up so high, that basin by La Crosse does not look like a Mississippi basin. It looks like a freaking lake basin.
Wow.
There's that much water there during that time. That was a couple of days ago, and they're still getting runoff. There are rivers right now in Minnesota, Windham, Minnesota, for instance, one of the towns I go through sometimes. Their river is so flooded and over its banks. The baseball diamond that's next to it is completely flooded. The 69 highway, which is the one I take, that one's very close to being underwater. And they were saying, by the time I seen that video, they were saying that it was going to be underwater. So, here you have all this water. Now, all this water is also making its way down by Louisiana and Mississippi, where the mouth of the Mississippi is. Yeah, well, that's just going to open that up even heavier. So it's going to be a bigger waterway for bull sharks to come up the Mississippi if they
That also, all this rain is also going to cause issues.
It's already caused issues.
Well,
there's a lot of issues that it's already caused.
It's
For one, we've got tons of mosquitoes that we don't need. It's created breeding ground for mosquitoes.
And no, I'm talking about like if it doesn't stop soon, that trip in August is going to be canceled. Well, that part of the trip in August will be canceled because the property will be underwater.
Well, that part of that's not actual part of the trip. That's after the trip. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, right? It's going to piss me off.
But that's an extensive, little trip in and of itself, all in one day. That's a lot of driving.
That's definitely one I'll be able to go on, but I'm not. I'm having some problems that I may not get to go with you guys. I'm not sure yet. We'll talk more about it after.
But I'm just saying that one that goes up north and Valley of the Kings and Beast of Bray Road, that property might be underwater.
Yeah.
If it keeps up, that it might be tough just to drive around some of those low-lying areas because
it would be underwater.
As it is, some of those roads are underwater around here.
Yep, I know.
You got the area right up CW. Not too bad. That whole parking lot. There's an area that they can go and dock their boats.
It's all underwater.
As we're going towards 67.
It's all underwater.
And it's all under fucking water, the whole parking lot.
Can you imagine what Lake Okachi's like right now?
Oh shit. That's probably
you've got houses that are along there. They're all along that fucking lake.
Well,
and if that thing's got and I know there's a river that feeds it, so if it's got any water, it's probably got a bunch of those houses flooded out.
Well, what's that lake? Or is it just a rock river in Fort? I remember one time Tanya took me down to this place where all these houses were sitting on stilts. They're kind of like on stilts because they're close to the Rock River or something. And next thing I know, we had to turn around.
Yeah, Jefferson.
Because
I am absolutely glad I didn't actually go for that house in Jefferson, because I guarantee you right now their fucking basement is full of water.
But I'm saying the whole road was completely under like almost 2 feet of fucking water.
Yeah.
you know, and it's
Well,
like
I
shit.
bet
Turn around.
you anything Jefferson right now is the same way because you got the Crawfish River that runs through there.
Well, yeah, you got all these low-lying places, and
Actually, the Crawfish and Rock meet right there in Jefferson.
right,
So you
and
got both of them meeting. That's why that floods so bad there when we get heavy rains and stuff.
you know,
So yeah,
yeah, that's it's just yeah, they you know, there's places in Watertown that get underwater too when we get this much rain.
mhm.
You know,
It's
Madison.
crazy, man. It's
There's a
ugly.
couple places in Madison. I mean, Northport, that low-lying part of Northport at the
Mhm.
bottom of the hill by Warner Park. Warner Park would go underwater
Parts
because
of Warner Park go underwater. The
lake,
fucking island goes
that,
under.
that lake, yeah, there'd be no island left.
Oh, and by the way, since we're talking parks and everything with the 4th of July coming up, this is the last year from the Monona Festival.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
read that.
Unfortunately, we didn't get ourselves a booth out there, but hey, you know, whatever.
Well, we made our chances. We learned from there,
Yeah.
you know, and we could say we were in a couple of, you know, but still that give us the opportunity to, you know, go to all these other places. I mean,
Right.
we don't have a whole. I just want to do better. I'm waiting. I'm patiently waiting, and it's hard.
I know. I know.
You know.
Well, anyway, it looks like it's getting close for us to call it a night for this.
Yeah.
So we can cut out just a few minutes early this time because that'll make up for the times we've been over.
Yeah. Well, there'll be upcoming. Just look for in the future. We're gonna have our. I'm gonna try hard to get the Day the Music Died.
Well, I'll come right back. I gotta go leak really bad.
And
So
for our school, and I can't remember what the other, but the trip from Iowa, our trip from Iowa should be up within, I'd say, give it a month or so, and I'll have it up. So till next week, stay safe, and remember anything's possible.